Meghan Markle has now formally endorsed one of the biggest online trolls of Catherine, the Princess of Wales.
Meghan Markle sending a care package, an as ever goodie package, to a real troll, a real hateful person to Prince William, Princess Catherine, and their children.
Prince Harry's got his security back. I said, what do you mean? So I went online and there was no official word.
This isn't a guy who's been subtle about his attacks on the Prince and Princess of Wales. He hasn't been, this isn't someone that just slightly negative. I mean, he's pretty atrocious with his attacks.
A storm of claims erupted after reports surfaced, suggesting Meghan allegedly sent a carefully prepared gift package, complete with a royal crest-style presentation, to an online figure widely described by critics as one of Princess Catherine's harshest trolls. And the reaction online instantly exploded with outrage and confusion everywhere you looked. According to people who follow the account's history closely, the individual in question has long been accused by online communities of repeatedly posting derogatory comments aimed at Catherine, with critics saying he consistently crossed lines of respect. Although these claims remain part of a highly contested online narrative full of disputes and interpretations. Some reports even suggest he used dismissive language toward Catherine, with critics alleging he labelled her in insulting terms and mocked media coverage surrounding her recovery period. Though these statements remain unverified and heavily debated across different online spaces where opinions sharply collide. The controversy deepened when attention shifted to the idea that Meghan allegedly acknowledged or engaged with this figure through a curated gift package, reportedly including items like tea.
JTB recently endorsed, look, being a future king and ending up with the uglier, less talented wife must be a gut punch. That was quite soon after Catherine emerged following her cancer battle. After Hello magazine said Princess Kate stuns royal fans with effortless walk in heels across muddy glass, he replied, LMAO, I can't. They've really reduced her to a bimbo with heels.
Candles and a handwritten note featuring a stylized royal cipher detail, something that instantly triggered heated speculation across social platforms everywhere. The online reaction escalated further when commentators began questioning how such a package could have been sent in the first place, with critics insisting that sending a parcel would require knowing a name and address, while others pushed back, arguing assumptions were being made without clear evidence or confirmed communication channels involved. He reportedly reacted online within a short time frame, allegedly expressing excitement or surprise, and this detail only fueled more confusion, as observers questioned whether there had been prior contact, indirect sourcing, or completely unrelated circumstances being misinterpreted in the rush of online commentary exploding everywhere. That single uncertainty quickly spiraled into a wider debate, with people demanding explanations, while others warned that the narrative being built online might be stretching beyond what actual verified facts could support, creating a fog of speculation that kept growing by the hour, with no clear resolution in sight. Attention then shifted toward a separate moment involving Meghan's public speech at a global health-related event, where she reportedly spoke about online harm and the protection of children.
Online trolls of Catherine, the Princess of Wales. This is the care package to the notorious JTB. And trust me, Markle knows exactly what this man is all about. So we now have a ludicrous situation. Look, she's even using the royal cipher. We have a ludicrous situation where a former member of the royal family who claims to be all about online welfare is now backing one of the biggest internet trolls of Catherine, the Princess of Wales. This is unsustainable.
Delivering emotional remarks urging caution and responsibility in digital spaces, a message that was widely circulated and interpreted in multiple different ways. Critics quickly pointed out what they saw as a contradiction, arguing that messaging about online safety stood in tension with the alleged gift incident, while supporters countered that the two events were being unfairly linked without evidence of direct contradiction or intentional hypocrisy being proven at all. The speech included calls for people to think carefully before engaging online, encouraging intentional behavior and kindness. Yet the surrounding controversy reframed those remarks in the eyes of some viewers who began connecting unrelated events into a single narrative of inconsistency and tension everywhere online. As the discussion spread, online communities began labeling the situation with sharp phrases and emotional commentary, with some users adopting critical nicknames while others pushed back strongly, saying the entire situation was being exaggerated beyond recognition and lacking verified foundation. Additional claims also resurfaced from unrelated past discussions involving alleged workplace conflicts and accusations of uncomfortable interactions.
But yeah, this is a creator that just absolutely tears into Prince William, Catherine, and the kids in a really foul way. And here is, I want to show you this. He posted, the Duchess sent me a gift. I'm not exaggerating when I say this was nowhere on my 2026 bingo card. Completely stunned, completely grateful. Thank you, Meghan. This reminds me of when Harry and Meghan actually called some of the people remember when they called some of the people on Twitter that had been so vile against the British royal family to thank them for creating a campaign for them?
Within media environments, though these references were themselves part of long-standing online debates that have never reached universal agreement or confirmation, the situation escalated further when critics began framing the issue not just as one isolated incident, but as part of a broader pattern, while others strongly rejected that framing, arguing that isolated allegations and online speculation were being stitched together into a misleading storyline. From there, pressure shifted toward King Charles in online discussions, with many demanding clarity or action, and the conversation quickly intensified as users began calling for institutional responses, despite no official statements confirming any of the circulating claims at that moment. Some voices online insisted that silence from the monarchy could be interpreted in multiple ways, while others warned against drawing conclusions from silence alone, emphasizing that public institutions often avoid commenting on speculative or unverified social media controversies altogether. The debate then turned even more speculative.
Is barely able to survive the bullying and predation of the online world and the dangers that these platforms bring? How is a child? So speak up. Demand better from the platforms shaping our children's lives. Be an example in your own social media use of how to be intentional in every moment that you like, that you comment, that you post, that you share. We could all universally agree on one thing. We want our children to be safe. Let our children look back at this moment and let them feel proud of us, that we chose something better for them and for us all.
When users questioned how any address or contact information could have been involved, with theories ranging wildly across social platforms, though none of these claims were supported by publicly verified evidence or official confirmation from any party involved. Observers split sharply at this point, with some suggesting hidden connections or behind-the-scenes contact, while others dismissed these theories entirely as internet-driven speculation, fueled by misunderstanding and emotional amplification rather than documented fact. In parallel, older incidents were brought back into circulation, including alleged interactions with online figures tied to earlier controversies. Though again, these references remained part of long-running internet discourse rather than established, verified records. Critics compiled what they described as a pattern, listing various moments of perceived proximity or acknowledgement between public figures and controversial online accounts, while supporters argued that such compilations often removed context and relied heavily on interpretation rather than proof. claims also emerged that certain online engagements, such as likes or acknowledgements, were being used as evidence in this broader narrative, though even these points were heavily disputed, depending on who was analyzing the situation and from what perspective they approached it. As the argument intensified, the framing shifted toward the idea of a reward system, with critics suggesting attention might be interpreted as validation, while opposing voices pushed back strongly, warning that such interpretations could misrepresent intent and distort reality significantly. In the middle of this heated discourse, online users repeated demands for consequences, transparency, or clarification, while others cautioned that social media outrage cycles often escalate faster than facts can be confirmed or responsibly evaluated in real time. The final wave of commentary focused on the broader implication of online behavior, with some users claiming that attention alone can be misread as endorsement, while others insisted that no such conclusions should be drawn without solid evidence, as the conversation continued spiraling across platforms with growing intensity everywhere. Keep going. The discussion still echoes across timelines, with people watching every new detail unfold, and the tension in interpretation continuing to build as different narratives compete for dominance in the public space, leaving everything still open, still disputed, and still fiercely debated with no clear end in sight. A louder wave of commentary kept building online as voices doubled down on the idea that cruelty in digital spaces somehow gets rewarded, and that single line kept echoing everywhere, like a warning shot fired into the conversation. Critics online kept repeating that phrase while pointing fingers at the broader drama. But it's important to note, this entire discussion is built on rumors, interpretations, and social media claims, rather than anything officially confirmed, even if the tone around it is extremely heated and emotional. So the question being thrown around shifts fast into something sharper and more personal, with users asking where the woman at the center of all this narrative supposedly is, while public sightings of Harry become the new focus of speculation, flying across timelines non-stop. In recent days, Harry has been seen attending a couple of public outings, including a polo-related appearance and a high-profile cookbook event in Los Angeles tied to chef Jose Andres, and observers online immediately started dissecting every detail, like it was a hidden message waiting to be decoded. Reports and commentary emphasized that he appeared alone at these events, and social media users latched onto that detail quickly, turning it into a talking point, even though public appearances often happen separately depending on schedules and invitations. The connection to Jose Andres added more fuel to the chatter, since he is publicly known to have ties to Meghan, including appearing on her cooking-related media projects, and that overlap sparked even more online speculation about who is connected to what, and why certain appearances happened separately. Observers began building narratives around those events, with some commentators suggesting it looked unusual, while others pushed back hard, saying people were reading too much into normal scheduling and unrelated guest lists at public functions. One commentator even mocked the situation by framing Harry's appearance as just another royal-style engagement in a casual setting, while critics online exaggerated that framing further, turning it into jokes and viral posts that spread across platforms fast. Another royal commentator described the couple in metaphorical terms, comparing their dynamic to elements that don't mix easily, language that quickly got picked up, repeated, and stretched far beyond its original intent in online debates everywhere. From there, attention shifted again to public appearances, with critics arguing that staged or highly curated outings in big celebrity environments were being used to project a specific image, while supporters pushed back, saying every public figure manages visibility in different ways for media and safety reasons. The conversation also spiraled into commentary about alleged media appearances, including claims that a surprise cameo involving Meghan and actress Lily Collins was leaked early, something critics said ruined the intended surprise element. Though again, this remains part of online rumor cycles rather than confirmed production fallout. That alleged leak then became a talking point about trust and publicity strategy, with some users claiming it showed poor media handling, while others insisted there was no solid proof that any intentional leak occurred at all, and that the story may have been exaggerated online. Further claims started circulating about streaming partnerships and business deals, with critics suggesting confusion around announcements and timelines, while supporters clarified that entertainment deals often evolve behind the scenes, long before anything becomes visible to the public. At one point, Netflix became part of the discussion, with online users arguing about whether certain projects ever fully materialized, while others pointed out that production pipelines are often delayed, reshaped, or quietly shelved for normal industry reasons. Amid that debate, Meghan's lifestyle brand was pulled into the conversation, with critics pointing at products like candles, matches, and spreads, saying the items were simple concepts, while supporters argued branding and storytelling matter just as much as the product itself in modern consumer markets. Some online claims even referenced family commentary and second-hand statements, but those remain unverified social media narratives, often repeated in fragmented form without clear sourcing or confirmation from the people involved. A viral moment discussed widely was a video reaction involving one of the gift items, where viewers focused on packaging details and presentation, turning it into a meme-like discussion across platforms, with interpretations ranging from humor to harsh criticism. Other users pointed out specific product packaging elements being discussed online, including concerns raised about safety or presentation style, though these observations were largely based on viewer interpretation rather than formal product evaluations or verified reports. One recurring angle in the conversation was irony, with critics claiming certain products seemed to contradict earlier statements or commentary, while supporters responded that context was being ignored and that public figures are often misquoted or taken out of context online. Meanwhile, another narrative formed around Catherine, who was being discussed separately in contrast-driven commentary, with focus placed on her public appearances during a charity engagement attended alongside King Charles, which drew significant media attention. She was seen wearing a detailed red outfit at a cancer-related charity reception, and commentators highlighted the symbolism of her appearance, while others emphasized that her public work continues independently of online comparisons or digital debates. Some writers described her presence as quietly impactful, focusing on tone and visual symbolism, while critics online contrasted it with earlier viral discussions, even though these comparisons are entirely interpretive and driven by audience perception rather than official messaging. She did not publicly address the surrounding online discussions, and commentators noted that silence itself became part of how audiences interpreted the situation, even though no statements were made linking her to any of the circulating narratives. From there, public comparison culture intensified again, with social media users placing different royal appearances side by side and assigning meaning to crowd sizes, reactions, and media coverage, even though such comparisons are often subjective and highly context-dependent. Further claims emerged online suggesting influence or indirect credit being assigned to certain public behaviors, but these interpretations remain part of internet discourse rather than confirmed statements or official acknowledgement from any royal representatives. At the same time, discussion shifted toward family dynamics, with reports circulating about attendance decisions at upcoming events, including claims that Harry would not be present at Peter Phillips's wedding, which sparked another round of commentary online. Observers noted that these claims, like many others in this broader narrative, come from commentary and speculation rather than formal announcements, and they are often reshaped as they circulate through social media threads and opinion columns. Commentators suggested that family gatherings can become complicated when public attention is intense, with the focus shifting away from the event itself and toward media narratives, which often overshadow private moments. The idea that appearances can change the entire tone of an event became a repeated theme online, with users debating whether inclusion or exclusion in such moments carries symbolic meaning even though real-world decisions are often far more practical and private. And through all of this layered speculation, the conversation keeps looping back to the same idea being repeated across platforms, that visibility, silence, presence, and absence all get interpreted as signals, even when no clear proof supports those interpretations at all. The discussion keeps spinning forward, still unsettled, still fragmented, and still driven by competing narratives that continue to clash across timelines, with no single version of events fully taking hold anywhere in the noise. A wave of tension continues building as reports circulate that photos have been quietly removed and public attention has been redirected, almost like the narrative itself is being steered away from certain angles. And that shift has only intensified the speculation surrounding what is really going on behind closed doors. Meanwhile, focus swings sharply toward an upcoming wedding that is already being described in online discussions as politically and emotionally loaded, with claims that even attendance is becoming a matter of internal family division rather than simple celebration. Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, daughters of Prince Andrew, have reportedly been caught in the middle of conflicting opinions about whether they should attend at all. And that detail alone has fueled an entirely separate layer of controversy across social platforms. Some commentators have pointed to what they describe as an internal anti-York sentiment within parts of the wider family structure, suggesting there are quiet tensions that influence who is welcomed and who is kept at a distance during major public events. Critics online have also resurfaced long-circulated talking points about past meetings involving Jeffrey Epstein, framing them in a way that adds more fuel to the current discourse, even though these claims remain heavily debated, context-dependent, and interpreted very differently depending on who is speaking. At the same time, discussions about financial transparency have been dragged back into circulation, with some voices claiming there have been unanswered questions about funding and lifestyle support, while others strongly push back, saying these narratives are speculative and often lack verified backing or official findings. Supporters of the sisters emphasize that attendance at a family wedding is a private matter and argue that no proven wrongdoing has been established against them in relation to the claims being circulated online, pointing out that association is not the same as evidence of misconduct. Opposing voices counter that even perception alone can become powerful in royal environments, arguing that appearances often carry symbolic weight, especially when public trust and institutional reputation are constantly under scrutiny from global audiences. As a result, what should have been a simple family celebration is now being reframed online as a map of alliances, exclusions, and quiet distancing, where every guest list detail is analysed like a coded message about who is in favour and who is being pushed out. But the controversy doesn't stop there, because attention then shifts into a far more serious and sensitive area involving charity work linked to Harry, particularly African parks, which has become the subject of intense scrutiny and emotional debate across media spaces. Allegations reported by critics claim that rangers associated with conservation work were involved in harmful behaviour toward indigenous forest communities, including the Baka people, who are often described in reports as deeply connected to their land and traditional ways of life. These allegations suggest serious misconduct in how enforcement actions were carried out under the banner of conservation, creating a moral conflict between environmental protection efforts and the treatment of local communities living in those regions. A report reportedly associated with Cherie Blair has been referenced in discussions, with claims that it identified issues of wrongdoing but did not fully detail the extent or specifics in a publicly clear way, which has only added to confusion and debate online. The organization's response, according to critics, has largely been framed as promises of internal review and future correction, but critics argue that such responses do not always translate into visible or immediate change on the ground where the allegations are said to have occurred. From there, pressure shifts toward Harry personally, with critics demanding accountability or resignation from roles tied to the charity, while supporters argue that responsibility within large organizations is complex and cannot always be reduced to a single individual's direct control. Some critics have gone further, claiming that past statements about silence and moral responsibility are now being contrasted with current expectations for leadership accountability, creating what they see as a contradiction in public messaging, even though interpretations vary widely. At the same time, attention turns toward Invictus Games, the high-profile sporting initiative closely associated with Harry, which is now being discussed in terms of funding, logistics, and long-term sustainability, rather than just its public image. Reports circulating online claim that government support for events like Birmingham involved significant financial commitments, with expectations that additional sponsorship would match or exceed those contributions. But critics say the actual private funding fell short of projections. Some claims also suggest that major corporate sponsors reportedly stepped back from involvement, which critics interpret as a sign of declining confidence, while supporters counter that sponsorship landscapes are constantly shifting for large international sporting events. Another point of debate centers on how much of the raised funding directly reaches participants, with critics arguing that only a fraction is visible at the ground level, while organizers and supporters emphasize operational costs, logistics, travel, security, and long-term program structure as necessary components of delivery. Controversy deepens further with claims that participation support structures may vary depending on service status, with critics alleging gaps in coverage for certain individuals, while supporters argue that eligibility rules are clearly defined and based on logistical and organizational frameworks rather than exclusionary intent. As these arguments unfold, broader commentary emerges about the nature of charity itself, with critics suggesting that public-facing visibility can sometimes overshadow behind-the-scenes administrative work required to run large-scale humanitarian or sporting organizations. Supporters push back strongly, arguing that visibility is part of awareness building and that public appearances are not separate from the operational work, but instead help sustain funding, engagement, and global recognition for the causes involved. The conversation then shifts into more symbolic territory, with critics drawing comparisons to high-profile media moments and staged imagery, arguing that public storytelling sometimes becomes more powerful than the operational reality, while supporters reject that framing as unfair and overly cynical. Attention also returns to long-standing discussions about iconic charity imagery involving Harry, with critics referencing well-known moments that were heavily photographed and widely circulated, suggesting they became symbolic rather than purely functional in public perception. However, supporters emphasize that such moments are often standard in humanitarian communications, where imagery is used to raise awareness and highlight issues that might otherwise remain invisible to global audiences. The debate then expands into questions about security and public funding, with journalists reportedly asking official bodies for clarity regarding protection arrangements and receiving responses described as non-committal or carefully worded, which only fueled further speculation online. Critics interpret this lack of direct confirmation as evidence of hidden decisions or delayed announcements, while others argue that security matters are routinely kept confidential for operational and safety reasons, especially involving public figures. At the same time, discussion intensifies around the idea that announcements may be strategically timed around major public events, with critics suggesting political calculation, while supporters insist timing often depends on procedural and legal processes rather than narrative control. Further online claims suggest that changes in accommodation arrangements and official residences have been interpreted as symbolic gestures, though officials typically do not confirm or deny such interpretations publicly. As the narrative continues to spiral, contrasting viewpoints sharpen even further, with one side framing events as coordinated signals and the other side insisting they are disconnected, ordinary administrative decisions being overread by online audiences. And through it all, the recurring pattern remains the same, where every silence becomes meaning, every appearance becomes a statement, and every absence becomes a story in itself, regardless of whether any official confirmation exists to support those interpretations. One woman is framed in commentary as promoting kindness while allegedly being tied to controversial gestures in online narratives, while another remains largely silent in public-facing discussion, yet still dominates perception simply through presence and reputation alone. Whatever angle people take, the debate refuses to settle, and the story continues to expand across platforms, with every new clip, claim, and reaction adding another layer to an already tangled web of interpretation and speculation. The videos on screen go deeper into these unfolding narratives, and viewers are being encouraged to select another segment to continue exploring how each thread connects, twists, and evolves across the wider conversation. Like, comment, and subscribe for more updates as this situation continues to develop and new details keep emerging across every angle of the discussion.